Those homemade pies sure look good.
Oh, these aren't homemade. They were made in a factory. A bomb factory. They're bombs.
Oh.
Explosive technology is a tier 1 arsenal tech, meaning that you could theoretically get this as your first tech. Usually, you would need a security tech fab in order to make an explosive payload. However, the Emag is utterly insane, and if you Emag a proto-lathe, it lets you get illegal technologies that are researched here instead. So you can get things like incendiary ammo and stuff, because that was already researched previously. That's only if it's research. However, what we're interested in specifically is the explosive payload. It's honestly really cheap. It takes half a bar of silver, and that's without a hyper lathe. So you can pump these out for basically for free for how easy these are, or how cheap they are. It's easier to make than pipe bombs and requires less work, because since they're modular grenades, you can just skip the whole pre-detonation stuff. So in order to make a basic explosive modular grenade, you're going to need the explosive payload, which if you're not a security officer, again, you're going to have to Emag or proto-lathe, but the thing is you can put a proto-lathe anywhere and Emag it. As long as the research is researched, you can do this. And you're going to need some form of trigger. There are 3 triggers available right now. There's voice triggers, timer triggers, and signal triggers. I would either recommend a signal trigger or a timer trigger. Anyway, I'm just going to do a signal trigger because that's the strongest method, is being able to detonate a bomb the absolute second you intend to. And finally, to make a modular grenade, you press the G button, and you're going to need some extra steel here, which if you're working in science or something, you're going to have this steel. You just need the steel in your inventory or in your hand or whatever to craft the case. And like the pipe bomb, you finish the rest of the construction on the ground or in your backpack or whatever. You just need 1 low voltage cable, so this is actually really cheap. Then you need the trigger, which we have the signal trigger. Also, if you have access to a proto-lathe, you can even make things like the advanced remote signaler, which if you're tossing this like a grenade, you probably don't need the advanced, and then you're going to need something like a multi-tool to actually link it up to it. You put the trigger in first, and then you can link the grenade up to the device. You actually don't need the explosive payload in first. You could just have the empty casing in it, and it doesn't do anything if you press Z now. It won't explode it. Now, after you put the explosive payload in, if you shift click it, it will say that it has a payload installed, but it isn't immediately apparent to anyone what's in it. So even if security like pulls you over or something, and they were like, why do you have a modular grenade in your backpack? They would have to take the time to disassemble it to even find out it's an explosive payload. So it's less overtly contraband than something like a pipe bomb. I mean, if you shift click it, it doesn't even mention it being contraband. So now we're going to go test fire this baby. So since we have it on a remote signal, we'll have the remote signal in our hand. We could just toss the grenade directly at their position because throwing is actually precise now. Do that and then press Z and it explodes instantly with no real counter to it. It does not instantly kill with just 1 explosive grenade, but however, the epicenter does 50 blunt, pierce, and heat, meaning that if you have 50% explosive resistance, you will survive 1 grenade, but you're going to be hurting pretty bad. So now this is where things usually start getting a little out of hand, and that's because of explosive stacking. Explosive payloads themselves actually chain explode, meaning you don't need to make multiple modular grenades. You can just spam out a ton of payloads with very little effort. No crafting time required other than literally waiting for the lathe to craft them, which you could put in something like lube to make it even faster if you're really stretched for time. But there is just an explosive modular grenade underneath on a signal with 1 additional payload. Now we get to witness the explosion radius and the damage with just 1 additional payload. It now actually spaces the floor, which is an entirely different element. It also instantly killed this person. They took 300 damage because they're at the epicenter. It doubles the damage. And yes, the fact that it can space the floor becomes utterly disgusting for value. Oops, that's the wrong floor tile. Oh no, I made an error. For demonstration purposes, I have filled an entire duffel bag of explosive payloads with 1 modular grenade to detonate all of them. This isn't even a full stack of materials worth of explosive payloads, so you can theoretically get bigger explosions and more done than just this. There are no other explosives that I could possibly chain off of this. This is just to demonstrate how insane it can get with just 1 duffel bag. I also replaced some of the outer walls with reinforced to more mimic the actual explosive power of this. The wall is the wall is 5 tiles away from the explosion, by the way. But without further ado, it won't utterly destroy reinforced walls. However, it destroys everything in a gigantic gigantic area. It's more damaging than a holy hand grenade in terms of widespread destruction. Even people that were, was this 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 tiles away are in a critical state. Barely would have survived this with an explosive suit. And we can see the damage actually went up to almost 11 tiles away. You can see everything got blown away and destroyed. These tables survived, so the damage obviously lessens off on the very outer corners, but some of the tables didn't even make it. This outer wall got destroyed. It's just utterly devastating how much damage you can do with a singular lathe in an Emag. You don't even need the Emag if you just steal the tech fab, which people do or have done. I have never seen an explosive this big personally, but it can be done rather easily. This is not like an advanced tactic. This is just crafting an item at a lathe. Also, I need something to close this video off with. We have China Lakes at home. You hit a pipe bomb a single time with a crowbar, throw it in a pneumatic cannon, and shoot it at a wall. Yeah, you have kind of just a shitty China Lake.